Today, I want to clean up some outstanding items in my world. I'm getting pretty close to actually finishing this world, at least temporarily. But to do so, there's some things that I have to finish up, including the interior of the Gothic castle up there and a few other things. So I'm going to go through one by one, get them all finished up, and then we'll slowly move towards finishing up this world. There's one big section left, but we're definitely getting there. First thing I want to work on is changing the riverbeds and ocean floors across my world. I've done some of them already by changing it to mud, but I want to do that for the rest of them as well, because when you're walking around or flying around, it's really obvious at the bottom of the rivers and just water bodies in this world are default terrain and really ugly, especially where the cliffs meet the water. It's pretty obvious that I only extended it like one block down and then stopped. So I want to address all that. This ocean here again looks pretty default. I don't like the look of the sand. I want it to all be like a dark color, which is why the mud is perfect. And then, yeah, like I said, the cliffs here only go one block down, and then there's a flat area which doesn't look natural at all. So I can use World Edit for this by just selecting a region and then changing all blocks of a certain type to mud, and that'll help a lot. So yeah, I want to do this for this little inlet below the castle here, and then as well as this whole port, because it looks pretty bad, especially when you're walking around the ships or whatever. It's really visible. So yeah, hopefully it'll look a lot better once that's all done. Yeah, I'm probably going to go all the way up to this mountainside here and then kind of end it at that. Alright, so that took quite a while, but the rivers and the oceans are looking much, much better now. World Edit was super helpful for this. Just selecting a huge region and just changing all the gravel to mud in like 3 seconds was phenomenal. I did fix a lot of the areas where the cliffs were coming down to meet the ocean. I took a couple of shortcuts here and there, but they're not super visible from the path or anywhere else. So yeah, this inlet looks a lot better, and the port city looks a lot better as well. The darker color of the mud just helps it a lot. I think that should be the default in Minecraft, but it's somebody else's problem to change. This part of my world is another area that I like to address. I built this castle a long time ago. I call it Thornwich Castle, but it's basically just a castle that is really green and lush, has vines and stuff all over it. It's right next to my enchanted forest, so it kind of makes sense being next to it. I really like this build, but there's a couple things that need to be finished for it to actually be done. One is this area to the side of the circular tower. It's default Minecraft terrain and it just looks terrible. And it's not super noticeable from the path and the area over here, which is why I never really touched it. But it annoys me and it needs to be dealt with. I'll probably just do similar to what I did on the other side, which is kind of extending the forest out a little bit. Probably just to like this point, and then you won't be able to see this over here, and that'll be okay. The other thing is I never entirely finished the interior of this one. I thought I did, which is why I stopped doing it. But then the other day I was walking through here and I realized that there was part of it that I hadn't finished. Specifically kind of this little area. I put up the walls, but there's lots of gravel and stuff all over the place. This area is supposed to be like kind of servant quarters. I guess I did this one room. But the walls and stuff need paintings. This one's also done. Okay. Maybe there's a little bit more finished than I thought in here. But there's still a little bit of work to do just to actually finish this up completely. I believe this whole side is done. A little kitchen in here. It's not great interiors, but it's better than nothing. Yeah. So those two aspects of this castle I want to finish, and then I can officially call this build done. I'm back inside the castle now. I did the interior as well as outside, which I'll show you in a second. The interior is mostly just adding kind of crates and stuff to make it look like a storage area. A couple paintings and some banners around to help it up a little bit. And then I also had the shelves, just a nice little detail around the top here, which worked pretty well actually. So yeah, this is the whole interior that hadn't been done yet. So the interior of this castle is now finished. Pretty modest stuff here, but this is the servant area. And I don't like doing interiors that much, so I consider that done. The outside, I did continue the terraforming mostly just copying trees and stuff around to this side, which looks better. Obviously the default terrain is still existing over here, but you can't really see that from the path or the castle or anything, except maybe like the top of this tower, for example. Even then it's hard to see if you're actually inside of it. I think this tower over here still has a couple of sight lines. Although if you're here, I guess you'd stand on top of the table and then look out, but if you're going to walk around normally, it's pretty hard to see out. So yeah, this is now done as well. Just a little corner here, just put in about 7 or 8 trees, then change the ground to look like the rest of it. Yeah, it's pretty quick and easy. Yeah, so just expand the forest a little bit, and now this castle is finally finished. So earlier I went through and changed the riverbeds to mud, but there's another addition I wanted to do on kind of the rivers and the other various bodies of water in my world, which is this little detail here. Really just making kind of really lush areas of kind of greenery and using a lot of leaves and lily pads, small drip leaf if possible, kind of along the river on the banks in certain areas to make it look like just patches of lily pads or other greenery and stuff. Also using these reeds as well can be good with the brown candles on top of the green stained glass. So I wanted to go through, because I have some on this main river here, but on the other bodies of water in the world I don't. It kind of ends here. I think there's 1 or 2 over here as well. But I wanted to go through and do that on the rest of the river, so I'm just going to add a bunch of patches of these all over the place. And then, yeah, and then the rivers will be fully done. Alright, next thing I have to do is finish up this port city I made. I have one half of the dock finished, but I never got around to doing the other side. So I want to build in a dock and then add in a couple of ships. Probably one here, and then I might do another diagonal one. We'll see. Something I want to make sure I'm doing is making sure that the ships are not super large, so that there's still a fairly large body of water in between the 2 sides of the port. And kind of on that idea, I also don't want to have the dock stick out like I have on the other side here. So I'm going to get that built, and then we'll see how it looks. Alright, I got these ships in here along with the little dock here, so this is all finished on this side. These ships are all from videos of Lord Dakar, so if you like the look of them, you can go watch them. He does block by block placements for ships, which is really helpful because they're hard to build. On this dock here, I just have various storage blocks, and then some kind of, looks like some goods being shipped over to make it look busier. Very similar to the other side, so this is all done now, and Port City is complete. So I'm by my Gothic castle here that I built. It's next to this hillside I made a couple episodes ago. The exterior is all done, but there's some of the interior I have left to do. And I need to do that to finish up my world. I've been putting it off. Up to here is kind of finished, and then this room and this one is almost done. This one's basically ready. All the walls are finished and stuff, but I just need to actually decorate it. And there's a spiral staircase over here. Maybe something in here is a little empty. We'll go down in a second, but going up to the next floor is kind of a similar story. It's kind of ready to be decorated, and then this is actually done. This is some like royal quarters and a nice library and office and stuff. So that part's finished, and then the second floor of this building here is really just a walkway, so there's not much to do. And then it connects over to this hallway we saw earlier. So this is basically done. Maybe put a couple pots out, maybe I already did. And then it goes out to the bell tower here, which is also finished. Downstairs, there's this kind of the servant quarters area. These are all finished, but what is this room? This is going to be like an armory and stuff, and then this one is a kitchen that I have very sparsely started decorating. So these are the two big main rooms here, and then that one kind of little hallway on the second floor. And then once those are done, this Gothic castle will be finished. So I'm going to get on that, and then we can move on to the next item. Alright, so I went through and made those changes to finish up the interior. This room is kind of just empty. I changed the floor to kind of a checkerboard to give it something, and added this banner from the top, and then just a few benches around. I really struggled coming up with an idea for this, so this is kind of just what I ended up on. This one is basically the same as it was. I added some maps there from other places in my world. And then if we go to the downstairs, I built the armory as well as the kitchens, as you can see here. The kitchen was a little big, so I kind of made this wall a little bit different. Basically less space in the kitchen because it didn't need that much. Over here we kind of have a piece of meat that's going to be used for the suppers for tonight. Over here is a rack of fish that's drying out. And then I have a little herb corner over here with some pots and then some glowberries on the top. Kind of a bucket of apples and similar idea with the melons over here. And a couple of pumpkins on the side. And a couple of kind of double burners here with some vents that go to nowhere, but that's not important. And this is like a little wash area with like glasses, bowls, spoons and stuff. And then in the armory, pretty basic, just some armor stands on the side over there. This is kind of like the bow and arrow side, and then kind of just got racks of swords and axes and stuff over here. The only other part that had to be changed was the little kind of entrance to this royal quarters over here, which I basically just threw a bunch of stuff around to make it look like there was a little storage area. I put this painting here, which looked pretty nice, fit in well. That's the whole interior for this, and now this Gothic castle is officially done. I can move on to the next thing. The last thing on my to-do list is this ugly mountainside over here, specifically the stone part. And by the first thing I actually built in this world, this kind of port town over here. And this stony area has just been bothering me since the very beginning of this world. To the right of it slightly, I have terraformed part of it. It looks quite dirty. There's a lot of dirt blocks, for example. I might come back in the future at some point and use some moss blocks or something to make it look greener. But for now, I just want to kind of copy that style over to the stone part. I have all those trees copied, pasted, so I can just throw them around quick and easy. From the path, you can't really see around that point, so I won't really terraform anything past this little area here because you won't be able to see it anyway. So it makes it a little bit easier. There's not that much work to do. I'm going to go and try and change that. Alright, so quick and dirty, but I got this mountainside in. Put some trees over here and then made the grass kind of a mixture of coarse dirt, moss, actual grass blocks, and rooted dirt. And then I copy-pasted more of the trees throughout and ended up looking like this. Pretty basic. Like I said, I might come through in the future and make it less dirty. But it blends in pretty well with what I already had, so that's good enough for now. And from the path, or in this case the dock, it looks pretty okay. Doesn't ruin the illusion at all like before, which is what I wanted. And with that, all of the changes and little bits and bobs that I missed throughout my world are kind of complete now. So we're basically getting towards the end of having this world finished temporarily. Once it is fully finished, I will expand out somewhere. I haven't decided where that'll be yet. But there's really just that one area between my Gothic castle, the port city, kind of the hillside I made, and one of the forests that I'm flying to right now. Once that is filled in, and once kind of the backdrop is filled in as well, then it will all be complete. Because right now the castle kind of ends off and then it goes into vanilla terrain. And then on this side, this forest kind of abruptly cuts off here into vanilla terrain. So once I can close this forest up to the Gothic castle cliffs here, and then obviously add something in this area, then this world will be complete temporarily. After that, I'll expand somewhere, probably out in this direction, to be honest. But for at least a little bit, I want the world to be 100% complete, and getting all those small changes and the little things I had forgotten filled in today was really great. It looks a lot better throughout my world, not having little pieces of terrain looking ugly or areas where ships should be. So yeah, really happy with it, and I'll see you in the next one.